What's up, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is Gina Ifoe, the one and only African superstar, back at it again. Like I mentioned on previous live streams, I have so much to talk about regarding this Ukraine-Russia situation. I think it's such a rich topic. There's so many figurative things that we should certainly get from it as well as literal. So I'm going to talk about what if World War III happens. Questions for Africans in Europe. So first of all, big shout outs to the customers at the Afrikansuperstar.com. Big shout outs to our members only as well. I posted a new members only video today, guys. So head to the community tab to be able to view that. Also, big shout outs to all my super chat donors, Cash App, everybody who has been sending proceeds that are going towards our music project. So thank you guys so much. I want to talk about that because obviously there's so much speculation about this whole Ukraine-Russia situation. Russia recently invaded Ukraine because the U.S. is trying to use Ukraine to get proximity to Russia, and they don't like that. Now, a lot of people speculate that, okay, this could potentially lead to a world war. Okay. And what I want to ask my Africans in Europe is, what's your game plan? We have actually seen the fallout of what's happened in Ukraine, which is they immediately started preferencing their own people over foreigners, over Africans. Okay. I assume probably white foreigners were able to pass. They could probably, get through. They were doing a lot of this restriction on the borders and on trains and things like that, people trying to evacuate the affected areas. And my question to all of you that are residing in Europe, and a lot of you quite comfortably, might I add, France, Germany, the UK, Portugal, obviously Eastern Europe, you might be in Poland, Romania, all these different locations, Italy. What's your game plan for a potential world war? Because I would encourage you to brush up on your history. Okay. The world wars were primarily fought in Europe. Countries in Europe were those that were extremely, affected and damaged and experienced a lot of, death toll and all of that during the world wars because they were fought in that area, that jurisdiction. Americans, kind of avoided that fight on their homelands. I don't know how it would be in 2022, but it's a question that foreigners, migrants and all that should be asking themselves. This to you in regards to what's your game plan. I saw a post today that came from Twitter, and a man was saying all his Ukrainian credit cards are not working. He said he was able to make it safely to another location, but the cards are down. Now, there's so many different moving parts when it comes to perhaps war. Many of us, my generation, certainly have not endured war, and there's a lot of fallout to that. It's going to affect travel. It's going to affect your livelihood. It's going to affect schools. It's going to affect healthcare. A lot of things that we take for granted on a daily, basis may not be accessible and things like that. You need to think about that because realistically, we're living in Europe and those problems really ain't our problems. I talked about it yesterday. What's going on in Ukraine and Russia is no black man's problem. Only a black man that finds himself in that location is going to have to deal with it. But I want to let all y'all other ones know, because our people suffer from what's called cognitive dissonance. We don't want to connect the dots, and we don't want to connect reality. We don't want to see things for what they are. We want to think that in a foreign land, we're going to be regarded just as a citizen. If we have our documents, we're going to be regarded just as a citizen. And that's not how it works, guys, because them in the back of their mind know, hey, you're not indigenous to these lands. And what that means is they're going to separate their own people. And they should. They absolutely should preference their own people. I don't knock these people for having self-preservation on their top, because it's what you should do. But this is a thought-provoking question for all of you Africans out there in Europe, especially. What is your game? If a world war does break out, what are you about to do? Do you have any money to evacuate currently? Do you have a backup plan? What's your situation back in your country of origin? You know, have you established yourself back home? Are your documents still valid? You know, do you have an emergency fund, maybe cash, or, you know, like I said, I saw the post about the gentleman not being able to use his Ukrainian cars. He said that Bitcoin was his saver, that he had some Bitcoin, and that's been what has been saving him during this crisis. You know, these are the kind of things you should always think like this when you're a foreigner in somebody else's land. Period. You know, this is a warning shot to Africans across Europe, I would definitely say. If you don't want to be involved in what they got going on, okay? Because see, the thing is, and I think the concern of many people in regards to Ukraine and Russia is that it's not just Ukraine and Russia. Both countries have allies and so on and so forth. So when it comes down to it, that's why it's called a world war. It's not everybody going to war with everybody. It's usually a couple countries going to war with each other and then involving their subsequent allies into the mix. And that's why I encourage you to learn some history. I know a lot of, you know, Africans that grow up, they don't know the full dynamics of the West when they get out there. You know, there's a lot of stuff that they don't know. And so you maybe want to brush up on World War I and World War II. You know, I learned when I moved to the UK that the UK was completely flattened by the Germans. Okay, the Germans were dropping bombs on the UK like nobody's business. You know, I know Germany also was getting air bombed and all kind of stuff. You know, France and Italy and all these countries that were involved, you know, suffered significant damage, death, loss of industry and everything. And we're out here residing, thinking that it's all good, thinking that it doesn't pertain to us, doing our prayers and stuff. Listen, do prayers along with some tangible action. That's what I have to say. A lot of people are like, yeah, but we need prayers. But guess what? If you were drowning in the ocean, would you want prayers or would you want a life raft? Would you want a lifeguard to jump in after you, or would you want prayers? Let's be real here. During crisis, we need tangible actions to help us navigate through. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do. You know, I said it yesterday. If you are in these places and you see that, you know, relations or whatever is deteriorating, or you're hearing things or whatever, you know, or more importantly, you're seeing other people evacuate. Okay. You're seeing other people from other nations like America and UK and this kind of thing. You're seeing them get out of there. That's a great indication that you need to go too. I know you don't maybe want to leave your property and, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's why you should be strategic. My word to you all, especially those of you that are strategizing moves to the continent, is get out while you can. Get out while you can. It's better for you to map out your plans, okay, than someone to do it for you. Okay. It's going to be so much better for you to plot your moves back home than for you to get an evacuation order and now you have to try to scramble and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be so much better for you to organize yourself and say, you know what, by the summertime, I'm going to go back home. Or by the close of this year, you know, hopefully, you know, I'm going to go back home, because guess what? When that crisis comes, it's just so much calamity. You know, you can do it at your own pace when you plan it and strategically execute. And our people are really not great at that. So heed my warning. You know, heed my warning, okay? Big shout out to the African Superstar family. Who's in the building? What's up, Links 101? I see you there. Please make sure that you like the stream if you're in the building. Today I'm talking about, if World War III breaks out, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know, same thing goes for those of you in America. What are you going to do? You see, I can't speak about y'all, but me personally, I don't like being the recipient of other people's actions. Okay, me personally, I'm not trying to go to war with nobody. Okay, war, it kind of impedes my personal lifestyle. You guys know my lifestyle. I'm a socialite, you know, I'm a world traveler, I'm a speaker, I like going to the beach, the gym, all that stuff. Even lockdown impeded my personal lifestyle. I couldn't do all the things I enjoyed doing. War definitely is going to impede my kind of lifestyle. I'm a proactive person. I'm like, let's work things out. Let's come to an agreement. But the reality is the leadership of these countries that we're living in, okay, in the West, all the leadership is white. And I talked about their nature yesterday, which is war, conquest, you know, weapons, military. That's their history. That's what they're all about. They don't know about problem resolution. Okay. They don't know about negotiations and stuff. It's always got to get dramatic with them. That's how they are. If you tell them no, then they want to show you some military power. That's what you're dealing with. We're comfortably living in these countries, a lot of us. And we will be the recipient of the decisions that our leadership makes. And I did point out yesterday that African leadership, as complicated as it may, these presidents ain't about conquest, war, and murder. They're not about it. Most countries here on the continent don't even have, you know, relevant military presence. That's just a base fact. I mean, it is what it is. That's not the interest of our people. Okay. Which means that you're going to be safer here than anywhere in the West, because all those people, you know, as much as Africa would probably want to be regarded and claim to be an ally to someone, they can't really send any resources out. You know, they can't send no troops. They can't send any weapons. They can't send any equipment, you know, so the reality that us being involved in a world war situation is highly, highly, highly unlikely on the continent. And historically, we were never a part of world wars in the past. Now, all them other countries that I listed out, Italy, France, America, the UK, Germany, Russia, you know, Poland, all these places have been affected by war because that's where the world war happens. Europe, you know, and Russia is a powerhouse. All right, Russia is a powerhouse, and one of Russia's allies is China. Okay, and so you're talking about extensive manpower. You're talking about weapon, you know, technology. I mean, if you pay attention, both of those countries, they are kind of under like dictatorship leaders, okay? And they believe in propaganda. They believe in parading their military and their tanks up and down the streets to let everybody know, hey, look, your country is ready for action. Russia aggressed against Ukraine. That means they're ready to do something. Okay? They will never roll up into somebody's country if they're ill prepared for the ramifications. So this is something that, again, those of you in Europe, you need to think it well through. Africa is the future, you know. Those of you that are directly connected to the continent, you have such an advantage here. You have such an advantage. The fact that you know this environment, you have family here, you might have lands, you might have, you know, assets here. Utilize them to position yourself well. It will be in your best interest, like I said, to prepare yourself to come here than for them to make you come here. Or even worse, for you to suffer a fatality related to something that you don't agree and that you don't want to be a part of. You know, we are not world war quality. Okay, now some of the Black people that have grown up in the West and socialized out there, they're just like American, they're just like British, they're ready for action. Okay. But those of us that's the real Africans, all we want to do is chill, eat, look good, relax. We're not all about that. Okay, we will slap you if you disrespect us, but we don't go around just saying, okay, I'm gonna claim this. Let me see what I got, a nail file. I'm gonna claim this land in the name of Kumasi. In the name of Accra, I'm taking over this land. No, we don't, you got your space, I got my space, cool, whatever. We might bicker, we might fight, but at the end of the day, we have so much more a regard for life here on the continent. I don't really know China's position, Links. From what I see, China doesn't really back down from the U.S. China also knows that the U.S. is in debt to them. China also knows they're the manufacturing giant of the world. They have quite a bit of power. They have quite a bit of, per capita in terms of their economic powers. And so I don't really know. I haven't been following the story expressly, but I just know that, Russia and China have a close relationship, probably closer than what the U.S. has with China. And, China has previously not been an ally to the U.S. either in previous situations. So we really don't know. Again, I'm not going to speculate too deep. What I'm saying is, okay, what this message is all about is be proactive. All right. Those that are currently living in Russia and Ukraine, they kind of avoided the brunt of it, because from what I understand, they've now already started negotiations. Okay, so this wasn't even like a long, drawn out, situation. They may reach an agreement soon. So this kind of can be, regarded as like a drill for those of us living in Europe. You really should ask yourself, if a world war broke out, what am I going to do? If air travel is not available, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And if you can, the best option is be out of there before any of that stuff happens. Be out of there before any of that stuff happens. Solidify yourself ahead of time. That way you don't got to worry about. Now let's just say, I'm pretty sure there were some Africans living in Ukraine that have been there for decades. Okay. We know there's a lot of Africans and Afropeans in Europe that their attitude is like, oh, I'm here in Europe and I just want to be here, and I have no interest in going home. So just imagine those Africans, having to evacuate Ukraine. All right. They have not been reestablishing themselves at home, investing at home. They don't have any properties. They had no plans to go back home. And now they're being thrust back home. And their entire life plan has been changed. Don't be that kind of person. Okay. The fact is, when you're a foreigner, you should always have your footing at home, period. I don't care. You should always think in the back of your mind, I'm in these countries, but I'm not a part of these countries. And I should make sure that I have myself back, in the event of an emergency or something like that. I have something to fall back on. These people can change the laws at any time. We saw it during COVID. They were just changing the laws to suit themselves, to do whatever kind of agenda they wanted. They can, and just like Ukraine, in the event of emergency, they segregated. What if they say one day, you know what, we're sick of all these foreigners in our countries, get out. You have 48 hours to get out of here, or else we're going to do a military drill. I don't put nothing past none of these people, because in their heart, they don't have a love for us. In their heart, they think that we're like, vagabonds. They think that we're leeching off of their society. That's their concept. Okay. Even though we are often enriching their environments, we're doing a lot of the jobs that their citizens don't want to do. We're contributing to the creative end of their nations, blah, blah, blah. They don't see it as we're enriching their environments. They see it as we're sucking it dry. So push come to shove, they could just decide, hey, you know what? We're tired of this. We don't want you guys here. Go back home. And in that event, you're not ready. Don't be caught up in that. And maybe today is the first day that you are ever hearing or thinking of this. You're watching this home. I've never thought about an evacuation plan. I've never, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well then let today be the day that you start thinking about it. Okay, you start setting some money aside, emergency plane ticket, emergency transport home. You know, fortunately, those of you in Europe, there are ways to get back to Africa by land. It might take a little while, but it's feasible. Okay, those of you in the U.S., you know, obviously you would have to get a boat to get back to Africa. You know, but an evacuation plan is needed. Maybe you think, okay, you know, I'll go to Mexico, or I'll go to Canada, or I'll try to get to South America in the event of a situation, or I'll get to the Caribbean or something like that. You know, but it's really worth you thinking about it. It's really worth you thinking about it. The days of, you know, I'm just going to make my life and it's just going to go accordingly. It's unwise to think like that, because the world that we're living in is just so volatile, you know, and anything can happen. And in those situations, what are you going to do? You know, how are you going to eat? What are you going to do about your kids? All this kind of stuff, guys. So big shout out to the African Superstar family. Again, I know it's quite early. It's only about 10:30 here in Accra, Ghana. So I know it's very early in America and whatnot. But I just wanted to deliver this. Again, I had so many topics related to this that I just feel are so relevant, you know, and definitely things that we should be conceiving in our mind about the way forward, because we haven't historically been really great as proactive people. We are reactionary, which is terrible. You know, that means by the time it has happened, now we're dealing with the fallout instead of saying, okay, you know what, I saw this a mile ahead and I planned for it. They are tripping in the West. They are tripping. Okay? They're tripping, they're trigger happy. I mean, even without the concept of a world war, the West is really not a sweet place to live. You know, those of us that have lived there or are living there, we know it's true. It's like drab, it's boring, the weather sucks, we're always going to work. It's just like, it's not great, you know? So, and again, this only pertains to those of you that it's a concept. Those of you that want to live in La La Land, you're like, no, this is my home. I love it here in Romania. I love it here in Italy. I'm just, you know, blah. Okay, that's fine. I'm talking about the people that have it on mind to go back home eventually or soon. You know, you guys, you know, speed up the process, because if you think in your mind, you know what, if World War III came during the course of 2022, and I have to leave Italy, and I have to leave Spain, and I have to leave the UK, okay, what do I have back at home that I can utilize? You know, if you have huge savings, maybe you need to think about, okay, I need to start actually getting something tangible going. You know, I need to, you know, put the foundation on my property. I need to start cultivating the farm. I need to ship in the vehicles or the equipment I need. Because see, y'all don't think about it, but again, the spoils of war is innumerable. The system that we know and currently use will not be functioning like that. You know, just like I saw again on Twitter, I saw a post today that a gentleman said all his credit cards in Ukraine are not currently working. You got to think about it. Nobody's going to work in Ukraine right now. They got bombed up a couple days ago. Okay, there's Russian tanks rolling through there. Nobody's going to work. Who's going to process your transactions? You can't go to your bank, get cash out. Who's filling up the ATMs? You know, these are all things that have to be happening. You know, who's going to the call center and doing all the transactions? You see, so if, for instance, you're hoarding loads of money in your bank account, and then something like this happens and you can't access your bank account, it's like you have nothing. You know, so I would say personally, this is the time. Okay, this is the time that you really need to get it, like lay out your blueprint and get it going. Okay, we are in now the 3rd month of the year, March. Shout outs to all my Pisces. My big sister's birthday is tomorrow, so big shout outs to my big sister in advance. But we are now in March. Okay, the year is flying by. And you still have a sizable amount to make this year count, you know, to get something like positive out of this year. But guys, you know, and hopefully we don't have any more fallouts, you know. I mean, the political climate in the world is very volatile right now, but I hope that, because like I told you, my lifestyle is, I don't have a wartime lifestyle. I don't even know what that's like. No hair, no nails, no pool, no parties, no traveling, no new clothes, no dates. No, I mean, it's a lot. No TV shows. You know, we'll probably all be stuck on YouTube. I don't even know how it works. You know, war. So I definitely don't want that. But in a worst case scenario, it's wise to think about it sometimes. This is very true. I mean, you know, we currently have access to survive without like the technology world. But the truth is, for all the people that's here, you know, can we sustain everybody who's here? Because we do a lot of import. You know, here in Ghana, they import food a lot. They import goods a lot. You know, they import petrol and all this stuff. So, you know, we will feel it in a way. We will be able to survive it. Some people will be severely challenged without all their dependencies. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's kind of unanimous that being here on the continent when the West is having their conflicts is like the safest place to be. You know, I can't see them really engaging with the continent because the continent doesn't have military power. That's usually what will attract them. Is, oh, they have missiles, they have nuclear bombs, they have this, they have that. And that's what draws a military's attention to a particular place. We're not a threat in a world war because we don't have military power like that. You know, and matter of factly, our people don't even want to fight. Our people are not bloodthirsty like those in the West. Those in the West, if they join the military, they're ready to kill, they're ready to die. You know what I'm saying? So was today's topic. Big shout outs to the African Superstar family. Thank you guys for watching me again. Until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.